You know, right now, as you are listening to this deep dive, there is this totally invisible war happening inside your home.
Oh, absolutely. Every single day.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like the dust mites in your carpet or, the microscopic stuff living in your air vents.
Right. Nothing like that.
If you have an older dog or a cat napping on the couch nearby, their body is currently fighting this relentless, high-stakes battle.
It really is high stakes.
I mean, it's against bacteria, mutating viruses, rogue cells. It's a war their immune system wages every single day, just keeping them safe so you never even notice it.
Yeah, and it works so well that we usually just completely take it for granted.
Exactly, but there is a massive catch. Your pet ages roughly, 7 times faster than you do?
Right. About 7 times.
So that biological reality means their immune system is aging, wearing down, and losing its edge at that exact same accelerated rate.
It is. And the problem is really how we view getting older. Aging isn't just this sudden cliff where things randomly break down because of bad luck. It is a predictable biological slope. Cellular efficiency slowly drops, tissue recovery lags, and, well, the key word there is slope.
A slope, not a cliff.
Right, because a slope, unlike a cliff, is something you can actually influence if you understand the gravity pulling you down.
So today, our mission for this deep dive is to map out that slope. We're exploring how your pet's immune system mirrors your very own and the biological mechanisms behind why it eventually falters.
And crucially, what the latest science says you can proactively do to support it.
Right. And to guide us, we're pulling from this really eye-opening article published by A+ Naturals Pet Health. It's titled, Same Fight, Different Bodies.
It's a fantastic piece.
Yeah. And we're also going to dissect some of the fascinating details straight from the label of their plant-based immunity blend supplement, just to see how these theories translate into actual practice.
Well, to start, we really have to ground this entire conversation in just how deeply you and your dog share an evolutionary blueprint.
I mean, we're both mammals, right?
Exactly. You were both vertebrates. Across hundreds of millions of years of evolution, the core architecture of how the body fights off microscopic invaders, it's remained remarkably intact. We are basically operating on the same biological operating system.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I like to think about the immune system like a 3-tiered security detail protecting a VIP. Both you and your dog have an identical setup. Layer 1, you've got the bouncers at the door.
The physical barriers.
Right. For your dog, that's their fur, their skin, their mucous membranes. And these bouncers don't just stand there, right?
No, they physically block pathogens, and they secrete these enzymes and antimicrobial peptides that literally dissolve invaders on contact.
Wow. And then layer 2 activates within minutes if a pathogen gets past those bouncers. This is the innate immune system, the rapid response team.
Yeah, your neutrophils, your macrophages, your natural killer cells.
And they just attack whatever...
Right, completely without prejudice. They don't need to know the specific identity of a virus. They just recognize foreign protein signatures. Like a macrophage, for instance, operates almost like a microscopic Pac-Man.
Oh, I love that analogy.
It physically engulfs the invading bacteria, traps it inside a cellular bubble, and just floods it with acid to digest it. And while it's doing this, it's releasing chemical alarms to wake up layer 3.
Layer 3 being the elite detective unit.
Exactly. The adaptive immune system.
Right, the part that actually learns. So it uses T cells and B cells to analyze the invader, build a custom weapon, and commit that profile to memory.
Which is the whole biological foundation for vaccines. Your dog gets a parvo vaccine, the detectives study it, and they remember parvo for the rest of their lives.
It's just brilliant. And the physical infrastructure supporting all this is shared too.
Yeah. Human and canine bodies use the exact same organs to make these cells. Bone marrow is the birthplace. We both have a spleen that filters bloodborne pathogens.
And lymph nodes for local surveillance.
Right. But here is the statistic from the research that completely shifts how we should think about pet health.
Okay, lay it on me.
Between 70 and 90% of a dog's entire immune system is located in their gut.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's known as the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, or GLT.
Wait, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Because 90% is a staggering number.
It really is.
So if the vast majority of their defense network is literally woven into their intestines, does that mean every time an owner radically switches their dog's food brand or the dog eats something gross in the yard, they're sending a massive shockwave through their immune defense?
It is a profound biological shock.
Right.
I mean, the gastrointestinal tract is essentially a hollow tube open to the outside world, right?
Mm-hmm.
It processes foreign material, which is food, every single day. So the body wraps its largest immune net around this tube to monitor everything coming in.
So when you abruptly change their diet,
You radically alter the population of trillions of bacteria living in their gut. And the
yeah.
adult is in constant communication with those bacteria.
So the gulp panics.
Exactly. A sudden shift causes it to panic, which triggers local inflammation and pulls immune resources away from the rest of the body. Nutrition is literally the primary dial controlling canine immunity.
That is wild. But, okay, if the basic hardware and the gut architecture are so similar, why do our immune systems act so differently in the real world? Like, a dog can eat garbage off the sidewalk and be totally fine.
Yeah.
But I might get food poisoning from a piece of sushi that's just a day old.
Well, the difference lies in how those specific immune cells are programmed to behave.
Mm.
And what's fascinating here is a landmark 2024 study.
From Colorado State University.
Yes, published in Scientific Reports. They didn't just look at cells under a microscope. They performed a direct transcriptomic comparison of canine and human immune responses.
Okay, I have to pause again. A transcriptomic comparison. Are we talking about researchers reading the actual genetic mail these cells are sending to each other?
Very close, yeah. A transcriptome analysis looks at the messenger RNA. It tells scientists exactly which genes the cells are actively turning on and off in real time. It's like the difference between looking at a factory's blueprint versus actually watching the assembly line in motion.
And the assembly lines are running at different speeds, huh?
Exactly. The study revealed that human T cells have a profound Th1 bias.
Meaning they naturally default to a highly aggressive posture.
Highly aggressive and highly pro-inflammatory. When they activate, human T cells flood the area with a signaling protein called interferon gamma.
Okay.
And interferon gamma is essentially molecular gasoline. It ramps up the immune response violently to clear an infection.
The dogs don't do that.
No, canine T cells are transcriptionally muted by comparison. They produce far less interferon gamma. They basically don't panic.
Wow.
And to compensate for those calmer T cells, the dog's innate system takes on the heavy lifting. Their macrophages are remarkably more responsive and robust than human ones.
Oh, see, here's where it gets really interesting. Because that cellular programming translates into a massive real-world outcome for us. Because human immune systems rely on this hyper-aggressive, gasoline-pouring T-cell response, we are vastly more vulnerable to autoimmune diseases than dogs are.
We pay a very high evolutionary price for that aggression. Conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS.
Right. That's when the human immune system misidentifies healthy tissue as an enemy and just violently attacks it.
Exactly. Dogs certainly develop autoimmune conditions too, but immunologists theorize their muted T-cell response protects them from that catastrophic cascade of self-destruction that humans get.
Because they rely heavily on the brute force of their Pac-Man macrophages.
Right, which are less prone to those specific targeting errors.
So it's an evolutionary trade-off. We have these hyper-vigilant snipers that sometimes shoot the hostage. Dogs rely on a massive army of pack-men to clear the field.
That's a great way to put it.
But no matter what strategy a mammal uses, the system eventually runs out of time, doesn't it? The biology starts to fray.
It does, and scientists have a very specific term for this breakdown. Immunosenescence.
Immunosenescence. Which comes from the Latin senescere, meaning to grow old.
Right. It's the progressive, scientifically measurable deterioration of the immune system. A comprehensive 2025 review in the Journal of Veterinary Internal Medicine mapped this out perfectly.
Confirming that dogs and cats experience this exact same biological decline as humans.
Following the exact same cellular patterns, yeah. And the breakdown primarily begins in an organ located just in front of the heart called the thymus.
And the thymus goes through this process called thymic involution, right?
Exactly.
Because after puberty, this organ, which is solely responsible for maturing and educating T cells, it physically starts to shrink. It just turns into fat.
It really does. And as it shrinks, the body loses its ability to produce naive T cells.
Let's talk about that term, a naive T cell.
The terminology is key here. A naive T cell is simply a cell that has never encountered an antigen before. It's a blank slate.
Ah, okay.
It's highly adaptable and capable of binding to entirely new, unrecognized threats.
So it's like, think of the thymus like a state-of-the-art police academy.
I like that.
When your dog is young, the academy is pumping out thousands of rookies every day, the naive T cells.
Mm-hmm.
These rookies haven't fought any specific disease yet, but they are eager, adaptable, and ready to learn the profile of a new suspect.
But as the dog ages...
the academy slowly boards up its windows and stops accepting recruits.
Yes,
So you still have the veteran cops on the force, right? The
Hmm.
memory T cells. They know the streets. They remember the kennel cough the dog caught 3 years ago and can neutralize it instantly.
Right. But without the academy producing rookies, you have absolutely nobody equipped to recognize a completely new type of crime. And the scientific data paints a pretty grim picture of that academy shutting down. A 2018 study from the Royal Veterinary College actually isolated T cells from Labrador retrievers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They compared a group of young labs, aged 0 to 3, against senior labs, aged 10 to 13. And the senior dogs exhibited a severe collapse in T-cell receptor diversity.
Meaning their system was just saturated with old memory cells looking for past infections.
Exactly, leaving them biologically blind to novel threats. This is why older dogs are so susceptible to newly mutating viruses.
Or even worse, the emergence of novel cancer cells that the immune system just fails to recognize as dangerous.
Yes. And while the body is losing its ability to spot new threats, a secondary, perhaps more destructive process is ramping up, inflammaging.
Inflammaging, that's chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation, right?
Exactly. In a healthy young dog, inflammation is a localized, temporary tool used to heal a wound. But in an aging dog, the immune system becomes dysregulated.
It just stays on.
Yeah, the cells constantly leak inflammatory cytokines, specifically IL-6 and TNF-alpha, right into the bloodstream, even when there's no infection present.
And cytokines are just signaling proteins, but when they're constantly circulating, they cause a lot of collateral damage.
They act as a slow-motion wrecking ball. Cytokines like TNF-alpha literally signal healthy tissue to begin breaking down.
Ugh, that's awful.
This chronic molecular friction degrades cartilage, which accelerates osteoarthritis. It damages nephrons in the kidneys. It even crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Wait, contributing to dog dementia?
Yes, the neurodegeneration we recognize as canine cognitive dysfunction.
Hmm.
The immune system is confused, misfiring, and slowly damaging the host.
So this raises a super important question. How does that internal molecular breakdown actually look to the person filling the food bowl every morning?
Right.
Because a pet owner can't just peer inside their dog's bloodstream and measure their IL-6 levels.
No, you have to look for subtle downstream effects. The sources point out that slower healing is a major red flag.
Like a minor scrape on their paw pad that used to close up in a weekend suddenly lingers for 2 weeks.
Because the macrophage response is just sluggish now. Unexplained weight loss and muscle wasting are also primary indicators.
And that's not just a dog eating less, is it?
Now, the chronic inflammaging we just discussed actively triggers muscle protein degradation. The dog's body is cannibalizing its own muscle tissue due to false inflammatory signals.
That is heartbreaking.
You also see the sudden onset of new allergies. The veteran memory T cells become erratic and start overreacting to harmless things like pollen or chicken.
Which leads to relentless scratching and those ear infections. And then, the most severe manifestation, lumps, bumps, and growths.
Yeah.
We have to face the hard reality in the literature here. Cancer is the leading cause of death in dogs over 10 years old.
It is.
And that isn't just because cancer is aggressive. It's because the immune surveillance network has completely collapsed. The elite detectives have retired, the rookies aren't being trained, and these rogue cells just multiply.
Without anyone sounding the alarm. And the timeline of when this vulnerability begins is perhaps the most crucial piece of data we have.
Right, because it's not the same for every dog.
Not at all. A 2025 study mapped out the onset of immunosenescence, and it reveals a massive disparity based purely on the physical size of the dog.
Okay, break that down for us.
Small breeds, those under 20 pounds, typically maintain their immune efficiency until they reach about 10 to 12 years old.
Okay, that makes sense.
But giant breeds, dogs over 90 pounds, like Great Danes, Mastiffs, or Irish Wolfhounds,
Yeah.
they hit immunological senior status by 5 to 6 years of age.
Wait, what? Are you saying a 5-year-old dog is biologically a senior citizen?
Yes.
I look at a 5-year-old Mastiff and they're still full of energy running around the yard. How is an owner supposed to believe their immune system is shutting down when the dog shows zero visible signs of slowing down?
I know, it feels almost impossible to act on.
Yeah.
But the external energy is deceptive. Giant breeds age faster biochemically because of the sheer speed at which their cells had to divide to grow that large in their first year of life.
Oh, because of the rapid growth.
Right. Every time a cell divides, the protective caps on the ends of their DNA, called telomeres, get a little shorter.
Oh, right.
Giant breeds burn through their cellular division limits rapidly.
Hmm.
So by year 5, their immune cells are biologically exhausted at a DNA level.
long before the dog's muscles or joints show signs of age.
Exactly. You cannot wait for the gray muzzle to appear because the microscopic war is already being lost.
Which means intervention has to happen while the dog still looks perfectly healthy.
Yes.
So how do you step in and support an immune system before the slope gets too steep?
Well, you step in by altering the environment those cells operate in. The foundational steps are entirely lifestyle-driven.
Like diet and exercise.
Right. High-quality bioavailable protein is required because antibodies and immune cells are built out of amino acids.
Okay.
Omega-3 fatty acids actively dial down the production of those damaging inflammatory cytokines. Consistent exercise acts as a mechanical anti-inflammatory. And stress reduction is paramount.
Oh yeah, stress is huge because chronic stress floods the dog's system with cortisol. And cortisol doesn't just make a dog anxious, it chemically signals T cells to undergo apoptosis, right?
Yes, which basically means it forces the immune cells to self-destruct.
That's crazy. But beyond lifestyle, the science of immunosenescence has unlocked targeted interventions. The A+ Naturals article highlights two very specific, clinically studied compounds that go way beyond basic nutrition.
Right. The first one is Astragalus. It's a root utilized in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries, but the modern clinical data on dogs is intense.
Yeah, the bioactive compounds inside the root, the polysaccharides and asparagallicides, perform highly specific functions.
Yes, like a 2010 study published in Procedia in Vaccinology tested Astragalus polysaccharides on dogs with actively suppressed immune systems.
And what happened?
The blood work showed measurable, significant improvements in their immune cell populations. Furthermore, a 2023 study focusing on beagles demonstrated that Astragalus actively stimulates T-cell proliferation.
It's essentially forcing the sluggish police academy to start printing more badges.
That's exactly what it's doing.
The sources also note it supports telomere maintenance. And you mentioned telomeres earlier, the protective caps on DNA. I always think of them like the little plastic aglets on the ends of your shoelaces. As the cell divides, the aglet phrase. Once the aglet is gone, the DNA unravels and the cell dies.
Yes, perfect analogy.
And astragalus contains compounds that help preserve that plastic aglet, allowing the immune cells to survive and divide for a longer period.
It addresses cellular aging at the foundational level. Now, the second compound highlighted in the research is Larch Arabinogalactan.
Okay.
It's a highly complex, prebiotic polysaccharide extracted from the wood of the western larch tree.
And being a prebiotic means it isn't a bacteria itself, right? It's the specific dietary fuel that feeds the good bacteria already living in the dog's gut.
Exactly. It acts as targeted nourishment for beneficial strains like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. And when these bacteria ferment the Larch Arabinogalactan, they produce short-chain fatty acids.
Which are super important.
Very. These fatty acids are the primary energy source for the cells lining the gut, reinforcing that physical barrier. And remember the jolt, the gut-associated lymphoid tissue.
Right, the 90% of the immune system.
By stabilizing the microbiome, you are stabilizing 90% of the dog's immune system. A landmark 2002 study in the Journal of Nutrition proved that supplementing dogs with Larch Arabinogalactan directly primed their macrophages.
Wow.
It puts the innate immune system on high alert, ready to engulf pathogens without triggering the destructive inflammation we see in inflammaging.
So these two mechanisms, the T-cell proliferation from astragalus and the macrophage activation via the gut from Larch Arabinogalactan, bring us to the actual product featured in our sources.
The A+ Naturals Immunity Blend.
Yeah, and looking at the label details, the formulation choices are just fascinating. It combines both of these clinically studied compounds. It's proudly manufactured in the USA, and playfully, while it's clearly labeled a plant-based formula, the packaging notes it is a vegan bacon-flavored powder.
I love that detail.
Right. You are delivering advanced botanical science, but to the dog's palate, it is simply a bacon reward.
The physical delivery method as a powder is a highly strategic choice for senior pets too.
Why is that?
Well, as immunosenescence and inflammaging take hold, a dog's appetite often wanes, and their tolerance for being pill-forced drops dramatically.
Oh, that makes sense.
So a flavored powder that you, as the label instructs, simply add to pet food ensures consistent daily compliance without causing the dog unnecessary stress.
Which, as we noted, spikes immune-suppressing cortisol.
Exactly. The label also highlights a critical synergy. The blend is enriched with probiotic.
That creates a symbiotic effect.
Yeah.
You're delivering the Larch Arabinogalactan, which is the prebiotic fuel, simultaneously with the actual live probiotic bacteria.
Right.
You are dropping the seeds and the fertilizer into the gut at the exact same time to rapidly alter the microbiome and support the gullet.
And the claims on the label align directly with the biological mechanisms we've discussed today. It states it promotes healthy immune system and gut health and encourages optimal energy levels.
And restoring energy isn't about giving the dog caffeine, right?
No, it's about reducing the systemic burden of inflammaging so the body just stops wasting energy fighting itself.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, sitting at home with your dog? It means adopting a completely different paradigm for pet health. This is not reactive medicine.
Oh, I know.
You do not wait for the devastating cancer diagnosis, the chronic ear infections, or the lethargy to set in before you start looking for solutions.
You have to act before the signs show up.
Right. This approach targets the 90% of the immune system living in the gut proactively, well before the biological slope turns into a cliff. You introduce this to the 6-year-old Great Dane or the 10-year-old Terrier while they are still enthusiastically chasing tennis balls in the park.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the science of immunosenescence forces us to rethink our responsibility as caretakers. Aging isn't a disease you can cure, but vulnerability is highly predictable.
Yeah.
The sudden tumor or the failing kidneys didn't just emerge out of thin air. They gained a foothold over years of declining immune surveillance and silent cellular inflammation.
It's all connected.
We cannot alter the fundamental clock. A dog's biology will always process time 7 times faster than ours. But by understanding the specific mechanics of their immune decline and actively supporting the cells doing the fighting, we really have the power to give them significantly better, healthier years.
Which leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to ponder today. If dogs are genuinely the perfect biological model for human aging,
Which they are.
if they live in our exact environments, sleep on our furniture, drink our tap water, and suffer from the exact same patterns of immune decline, just on a highly compressed timeline, what is their rapid decline silently trying to warn us about? If we watch their immune systems buckle under the invisible stressors, environmental toxins, and dietary gaps of our modern households, maybe they aren't just our best friends. Maybe they are our biological sentinels. The microscopic war they are losing in 5 to 10 years might be the exact same war slowly wearing down our own immune systems over 50. Something to mull over the next time you are looking at your dog resting on the living room floor. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Make sure to give your pets a little extra love today, and we'll catch you next time.